Hello, everyone. Today is day 4 of our Navarasa series. And I am really happy to have my guest, Dr. Amita Bajpai, on the show today. And आज का emotion बहुत ही difficult होने वाला है because it's about anger, anxiety, क्रोध. Before I get on to the topic, I would request Dr. Amita Bajpai to please tell us about her journey and the work that she is doing in the space of child development and betterment, और किस तरह से वो डील करती हैं बच्चों में एंजाइटी इश्यूज को, एंड हाउ डज शी हैंडल डिसलेक्सिया के किड्स और इस तरह के केसेस को किस तरह से मैनेज करती हैं. Welcome to the show, Dr. Amita Bajpai.
Thanks a lot, Megha, and congratulations to you for such a beautiful series of interviews with beautiful ladies. And thank you for making me the part of this journey also. And I'm Dr. Amita Bajpai, and I am a trained CBT practitioner. CBT is a kind of therapy which we use to change the thought process. During anger and anxiety, different kind of thoughts come in our mind, and accordingly we have to change these thought process to just make the person just be convenient in his or her life. And I've been working as a psychologist for 20 years. I visit different schools as a school counselor to just handle the problems of learning difficulties, behavior issues, anger issues among the children. So, and apart from these things, I just take workshop for teachers and parents also on different topics like how to handle their kids, how to just make learning very interesting. And I also run my own center of guidance and counseling, in which I deal with different kind of psychological issues. So this is all my journey, and we are trying to just make people aware about some mental health problems so that they can just take it in a very normal way. Because in our country, right now, people are not so much open towards mental health things. So this is our objective right now, to just be the people aware about this thing.
Fantastic. Kudos to the work that you are doing. It's phenomenal work, because you are trying to eradicate the problem from the root cause of the problem. The problems in adults are actually a reflection of what they have gone through, maybe in their growing up stage, or as a teenager, or as a kid. So congratulations on the phenomenal work that you are doing. And I'm sure our viewers will have a lot of things to learn from you today. So my first question, as you know that we are doing this series on emotions, and today's emotion is anger, anxiety. We all know that anger and anxiety is not good for health. And I think somewhere it's also a pent up emotions, or it could be due to, the person doesn't know how to express himself or herself. So we do face these challenges in the workplace. So what are your thoughts on, is it the right emotion, wrong emotion, and how do we deal with it?
Okay. First of all, I want to say, as you are doing this thing in the occasion of Navaratri. So when we just go towards some spiritual thing, we have heard about there are 3 types of gunas, which we heard about. That is Sat, Raj, and Tamas. Okay. So the topic which we are discussing is anger. It comes under that Tamas kind of thing. And it is very, very natural emotion. We can't say that it is very harmful or it should not be there. But the thing is this, anything that goes beyond the normal line, normal thing, that would be a harmful thing for us. Okay, the same with anger. Anger has some positive effect also. If you just see the sports person, their anger is very, very beneficial, because if they don't have that passion, they don't have that anger, they don't have that spirit to fight, then they would not be able to play so rigorously. Same thing with our soldiers. If they have that in the field, in the war field, if they have that emotion of love or sacrifice, they would never be able to just fight in the field. So up to some extent, anger is very, very good also. But when it comes to our daily life and in a routine life, it harms us in a so many ways. Because see, when we just talk about anger, we only think that it's a kind of harsh word, shouting, or pulling or pushing somebody, but it is not there. Actually, there are two types of anger. First thing, which is inwards, which we keep inside our mind, and whenever we find any kind of situation, we vent out this thing, this kind of behavior. And some people are very outy. So whenever they find any kind of frustrating situation, of the situation in which they are not able to handle properly, they just show their tantrums. They start shouting. They'll just start throwing the objects. So these kind of angers are there, but it is not always harmful. What we do in the CBT, which in which we just try to just tell the person to convert their anger into assertion in a positive way.
Okay.
So as any child has some anger issues, okay. So what we do, we just try to make him convinced to use this anger in a sports area. Okay, instead of hitting or shouting in the classroom, we can send that child who has very good potential, very good kind of vigor to use this thing. He can do well in the sports or kind of physical activities. So anger is not always harmful.
Very nice, very nice. So basically, anger is just another emotion, and there are ways to deal with it in a constructive manner. If somebody has a lot of anger issues, then they need to divert it into a constructive activity and ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is about something which we are, if I am as a person gets angry or annoyed, but what talking in terms of workplace, there are times when you have to deal with a person who gets agitated with very small things very quickly. How do we deal with such situations in workplace, when you have, and especially if the person is a senior, uh, because with peers, with colleagues, we can still manage it, we can still talk it out later, but sometimes with your senior hierarchy, it's not possible to talk to them, and we don't have that bandwidth to discuss openly. So in such situations, what do you advise? How do we deal with such people?
Actually, in this kind of situation, see, the problem is not yours or the person who is facing this thing. The problem is with the person who is showing this kind of problem. So the changes and accommodation which are required is within that person. But as you are not able to change any other person, so what you need to do, you have to manage the specific environmental things. Okay. So for this, what we can do, we can just, first of all, when any person is in the aggression mode, he or she say anything regarding you or your peers or the staff. Okay. So first of all, what we need to do, that we have to maintain our self-worth. That, okay, whatever he is or she is saying, that is out of anger. And I am not the one what he is feeling right now. So maintain your self-worth. And it is also very important to establish the firm boundaries. Okay. You must know your boundary, and you should be very, very clear about the boundaries of others also, on the basis of your value and your self-worth sense. Okay. So, and if your organization has, because see, sometimes the person who is doing all these things, yelling, shouting, misbehaving, he or she knows only this way to communicate the things. He or she must have learned this thing. If they behave in a specific way, they will get proper output. But in many institutions, there are like this facility that you can just say, or you can just raise your voice against this thing, because again and again, if you just start like tolerating this kind of behavior, you will be the one, and then next person will also tolerate this thing with that person. So if your organization going to tolerate this kind of abuser, you are going to feel the effect no matter what. Okay, so decide what you will accept and what you are not going to accept, and when you are going to look back. Okay, so it's, if like any like financial crisis is not there, it's better to change that place instead of just tolerating this kind of person.
True. So I think a lot of good inputs. So if I have to summarize for our audience, it's essentially important to set the boundaries and try to, and maybe, once the person has cooled down, a lot of times there are situational crisis. The person is also under a lot of stress and under a lot of pressure to perform, to excel, has a lot of responsibility. So there might be occasional outbursts, but if it's a norm with the person or the colleague, then we need to set up the boundaries. And if those things don't work, then possibly, obviously, one needs to change the organization. And as they rightly say, people don't switch organizations, they switch because of wrong environment or wrong bosses. Largely that is the norm. Now, coming to my next question, because of COVID and in Bangalore, startup culture and other places also, we've seen a lot of job losses. We've seen a lot of, stress on the people. So how do people, working professionals cope with anxiety? Because even if they have not lost, one set of people is who have lost their jobs, and the other set of people is who are always under this stress that something wrong might happen to them. So how do they avoid consistently, persistently thinking about the loss that may or may not happen, and how do they continue to perform and outperform and excel in their areas?
Okay. See, anxiety starts from basic thought process. Okay. So whenever any kind of anxious thoughts are there, you have to work on thoughts, on your own thoughts. Okay. Because see, if we start working on the environment before working on ourselves, it would not be like work out properly. So what we need to seek is from where it is this kind of thoughts are triggering. What exactly is going on in my environment, from where I am just taking up this kind of thoughts. So if these thoughts are like making you anxious, first work on it, and then there must be some substitute thoughts instead of these anxiety provoking thoughts. As you can just say, if any thought is there, I may lose my job due to like COVID. During COVID, they like that thought was very, very, very much widespread. I may lose my job. I will not have money. How will I just run my home? How will I just get proper benefit in my career and all these things? These were there, but these are basically thoughts, because everyone in a specific time were doing something or else to cope up with that specific situation. So being anxious is will not help. Instead, it will make you less and less, you can say, inferior in your field, because you will not be able to think properly. You will not able to work on any project properly. All the time you have this thing, and this will also lead to many physical problems, because during anxiety, many hormones released from your body, which are very, very harmful for your BP, for your sugar level, for your breathing system. So this will all affect your physiology also. So what you need to do, you have to work on your thought process. You have to work on from where these thought processes are triggering, and then you can work on the things. Because without working on the thought process, if you think, okay, situations will change, situation will remain same, but you need to just work on your things.
Wow, fantastic. So essentially, a very valid and important point that situations will not change. So
Yeah.
there are only two ways: either situations change or you change, because situations are not changing. So it's better that you change your thought
Yeah.
process. I think very valid input and suggestion. So, and the process of changing the situation starts from being self-aware, from thinking, from acknowledging our thoughts, and then replacing those thoughts, as you rightly said, with some positive acts, with some positive thoughts. That's the way to go, and that's the way to continuously improve our feelings and not get physically impacted, because there is a physiology and we need to accept that physiology as well. Nice. So now my next question, Dr. Amita, is a lot of kids suffer with the learning disability, and you have dealt with so many thousands of kids, and you have cured so many kids suffering with dyslexia and other diseases. So why does this how do we handle such situations? Because that is also that, because there are increasing cases of such cases, and then the parents suffer. And when parents suffer, what happens is it impacts the whole family and the surroundings. So how do we handle learning disabilities among kids? And also, as I will just put in next the other question part to it, is that how do we handle the anxiety amongst teenagers that is on the rise because of different things that are coming up, your social media impact and everything?
Okay. So first of all, I'll just answer the question of learning disabilities.
Sure.
So many kids are facing this problem, and if I just tell you the data, the like occurrence of this in India is around 20% of school-going children are facing learning disabilities in any form. Okay.
Okay.
So first, what we need to do as a parent, like importance of early intervention is very, very crucial at this time. As soon as your child enter in the school, and whenever he starts reading, writing, and this kind of process, he or she started facing problems. He will write like in reverse. He will not be able to tell you. He will not be able to identify the letters. He will just be reluctant in writing the things. So many symptoms are there. Sometimes what happen, like teachers and some other parents and at your home also, like your elderly person can say, okay, it will overcome. But the importance of early intervention is very, very crucial, because this is the developmental stage of the child. And if you start working in the early stages, that the brain will automatically grasp the things, and that would be permanent. Okay. So you have to identify the sign and symptoms as soon as the child started doing these academic skills. So that time you can just figure it out, start working, and you need not to worry, because it is not at all related to intelligence of the child. A child with learning disability must have or can have a very, very good IQ. He may be very good in computers, he may be very good in music, he may be very good in sports or any other activity. The only problem the child faces when it comes in reading, writing, and spelling. You can say that it is a kind of language problem. If you just say anything to the child will grasp very good, child will tell the answers orally very well, but when it comes in writing, the child will start facing the problem. So this is not a, like so much big issues. And please, that is a request to parents, that identify and don't hesitate to go to any specific specialized person. Because in India, there is a like kind of social stigma. If I go to a counselor, like my child will be labeled. If I go to any psychiatrist, my child will be labeled. It is not at all like this. Your child will get proper counseling, proper treatment at the proper time. So that would be very, very beneficial to the child.
Wow. So
And second thing which you asked is is that the impact of like social media and in anxiety of adolescent. Okay,
correct.
see, this is the time when we have like so much information around us.
True.
Even we, all of us, have like so much information that it's very difficult for us to filter that what to get and what not to get from these information. So, see, things are there around our adults and around our children. And if we just think that by depriving from these things, like my child can be benefited, it's totally wrong. What we need to do, we have to train our child to use this uh, gadgets or use these facility in a very judicious way. Okay, it should not be like this. Okay, you will not get mobile for 15 days. You will not. You will get mobile for this thing for this specific thing. Although there are so many lucrative things are there, but if you just train your child that what is the line between good and bad, and if you just allow him or her to practice these things in front of you, that would be benefited for him in future also.
Yeah.
Because children are right now, I think, facing lots of anxiety also because of this thing. Because they see their friends are going somewhere, they have so many good things to do, because so many videos are there in the social media, and they also see this kind of imaginary world around them. So it has an impact, and this is the time when they are adolescent are in the stage when they are not able to understand like what is the difference between fantasy and the real world. So parents support is very much required at this stage.
Wow. So I would like to reiterate what you said and pass on your lovely, heartfelt message to the audience that parenting nowadays has become tough task. It requires a lot more, artistic ways to handle kids. And there would be challenges because there is overexposure of knowledge, information, social media, and information that shouldn't have been passed on to them. But instead of losing control, it is important that we maintain our balance and seek the help of the counselors wherever required. The social stigma related to not consulting counselors has to go. There is no challenge, there is no problem, taking help, whether somebody is a teenager or somebody himself or herself is suffering with anxiety issues. There is no problem. The people should be free to vent out their feelings, and then only they can excel in their work life as well as in their family matters. So before I let you go, Dr. Amita, my last question. So how do you, share some tips, techniques, and or ways that a person can maintain his cool, physical, emotional balance and continue to ace in their career and profession?
There are not like any specific tips which I can, because everyone is aware about these things that we should exercise regularly. And see, one most important thing which I want to just tell everyone is sharing. Share your thoughts, communicate your ideas. There must be some social group which are missing today. Because see, from like 9 to 7, you are busy with your offices and your household work. Children are also very busy in their studies and all. Say, we don't get time to make a proper environment to discuss the thing apart from our business, apart from our work, and apart from our struggles. So, if we have these kind of social groups, we will get time to just listen to others also, and we can just tell what our anxieties are, which I think not we are not able to. We don't have this courage to say this thing to our near and dear, because we started feeling if I say something, that other person will also be anxious about my things. So there must be kind of social groups in which we can go regularly. We can just tell about things. Because see, when there were like joint families, these things were there. Like Devrani Jathani can sit together and they gossip a lot. But it's a kind of mental relaxation for them because they didn't have anything to do this thing outside of their home or something like this, because they were at that time didn't have that option to go out.
True.
So frequently. So they got this opportunity within that home. But right now, as like nuclear families are there, so we don't get this kind of opportunity to gossip and doing these things. So we need to make such kind of groups in which we can just communicate our things in a very open way.
Wow, very rightly said, very nicely put up. It's very important that now that the social fabric has changed from joint families to nuclear families, whether we like it or we hate it, but that's the norm. So, and if we have to live with this kind of structure, so how do we live? What do we do? So, like you rightly said, we need to create support system. We need to create ecosystem around us where we can have we can not only vent out our feelings, but we can also actually distract ourselves from those thoughts and minds. Because if we are doing similar kind of work over and over again, and all the family members are also into it, and the couple is busy with their work life, and the kids are busy with their school life, and there is no such synergies, then obviously there would be anger, there would be anxiety issue. So there, because of the lack of communication, and you rightly mentioned that, a lot of times it also becomes difficult to communicate those things with our family members. So it's better to have an ecosystem outside your near and dear ones also. Otherwise, one day it'll all pent up emotions will come out in the wrong manner. So
Yeah.
thank you. It was lovely talking to you, Dr. Amita Bajpai, and kudos to the work that you
Thanks,
are doing.
Megha, for giving me like such a nice opportunity. Just talk to you for such a such a good environment of like Navaratra and this kind of thing. I really like your concept. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.